The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Cosplay Alliance, our partners and affiliates. This episode of the Cosplay Alliance podcast may contain coarse language or sensitive subject matters. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
There we go. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
This is actually the 51st episode of our podcast, but the first ever since we rebranded the podcast, making things more streamlined. Tonight we're here to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, and this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. Anyone watching?
Alrighty.
You're warned. Back out now if you have to. So we'll go straight into it. Let's do a non-spoiler review first for anyone here, and then we'll go. Anyone? If you guys want to pitch in, just raise your hands, and we'll go around that way.
Give people enough time to figure out what we liked about it before they have to get going before we spoil all the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But actually, since I kind of started there, I think the movie was amazing. I think it delivered everything that we wanted, from having Wolverine come in and play in the Deadpool universe, and just sort of mashing everything together, because the whole X-Men storyline had been convoluted anyways for the last 24 years, so it kind of shored everything up, and no, it was a blast. Definitely, I don't consider it a return to form for the MCU, because I like all of the MCU anyways, but definitely a lot of fun for a Deadpool movie.
Anyone else want to give a spoiler-free review? Tanner?
If I could describe Tuesday evening in one word, it would be woo! So many woos. Spoiler free. My fiance, who doesn't really watch this stuff, had nothing but a big giant smile on her face the entire time. It was just pure fun and joy. It is probably the most graphic thing Disney has ever made in its 1,000 years of existence, and for the next 1,000 years. I don't think that they could ever talk. Seriously, if you could think of a Disney movie or subsidiary, because they used to own Miramax as well, I think. I can't think of a single movie that they made that was this over-the-top graphic, and it's been the most fun I've had at a Marvel movie since Endgame. Like chills, literal chills.
Well, as far as Disney, they did kill Bambi's mother, so that's
pretty graphic. Yeah, that's as far as they went. Yeah, and
Mufasa,
yeah.
If they had financing into Miramax, they did make Pulp Fiction. So
This makes Pulp Fiction look like Mary Poppins. So, yeah. I just watched Mary Poppins, so that's a pretty accurate statement.
Anyone else? Cal, you just watched the movie today, right?
Yep, I literally just got back an hour or so ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think? Spoiler free, what do you think?
I thought it was great. I'd say definitely in the top 5 MCU movies. It's up there with, like Marvel movies in general. Yeah, I thought it was like a good send off to the Foxverse. It was just, like it was the traditional Deadpool kind of film that you'd expect. While taking that spin to the MCU, which was really weird to see, but it was refreshing, and I'm excited to see where this is going to go in the future. Like, I'm eager to see more Deadpool in the MCU.
Yeah.
And, a lot of great moments, a lot of great music in the movie. It's just, I'd say damn near perfect.
Ali?
I love the movie. Deadpool's my favorite Marvel character, so I went in nervous because like it's my fave, you better do it right kind of situation. And I'm excited and I'm happy that they kind of removed the censorship of it to do it justice. I thought it was a beautiful tribute to the OG fans of Marvel because like we got all the fun stuff that I don't want to spoil right now.
Yeah.
And then the only thing I felt like there was a bit of a, I guess they made, in order, not perfection does not exist, and because of that, while we got a lot of treats, and I love this movie, don't get me wrong, it's still, I felt like the story and the villain needed more substance, like to make it into the perfect movie, I guess. But other than that, like I'm a Deadpool fan. I enjoyed all the gifts we got. I came for the Deadpool mess and chaotic energy, and that's what I got. So I got what I want.
Nice. Will?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everybody, with everything everybody said. I went actually after work yesterday. Actually, me and a buddy of mine. So we kind of, it wasn't a whole lot of people in the theater, but the few people that was there, I mean, it was hilarious. I mean, and it really exceeded my expectation. I mean, it was kind of like what Ali said. It was, your traditional Deadpool film plus more, and it also lived up to the hype that Marvel was giving it, because that was one of the things that I was kind of afraid of. Was I was like, man, Marvel is really putting this show, putting all his eggs in this one basket. I was like, I was confident that it would, but I was like, I really hope it lives up to the hype, and it really did. So I'm actually ready to see it again.
Actually, Will, I got a question for you. You said you were in a theater that was not very full.
Yeah, because it was a 5 o'clock show on a Thursday.
Okay. Now, Tanner, Anthony, and I, we all saw it on Tuesday at the Canadian advanced screening premiere, and everyone was on high energy when we saw the movie. So anything that happened during the movie, like the cameos that were all rumored, the cameos we didn't even know about, it was huge pops. Like it was loud in the theater. Yeah. Did you have that in you, Cal and Allie, in your screenings? With the crowd, did you get the same sort of reactions? Did you get the moments of people yelling and screaming when they finally saw a cameo on screen?
Yeah. Like I said, it might have been a total of maybe 25 people in the theater, and like you said, it was whenever like a cameo or anything like that happened, the few people that was there was all raving and like, oh, and there was actually one person that was cosplayed as Deadpool. So nice. But the few people that was there, everybody was just like, yo. So we was all on edge from start to finish.
In my experience, I went at 6:50 o'clock yesterday, and the cinema was packed. But I think what made the experience so special is the fact that even though probably I've never met these people who were there and I never will, we all kind of screamed, clapped, and laughed in unison every time something happened. And I think it's something that only Marvel and few studios can achieve, where like they create this sense of community through the movie. And I just love that part so much.
Yeah. Now we're going to be going into spoilers. So the whole concept of of Wolverine and Deadpool. I know DC tried it with Aquaman and Orm. Did it work better for this movie than it did with Aquaman? Can you guys hear me?
With the whole premise of this movie, we've already seen Deadpool, this wacky character, with a straight man concept where someone is serious and gruff, and that was Deadpool 2. Mm-hmm. So this wasn't really, in terms of him and character dynamics with someone else, it was pretty similar to how we bounced back and forth with Cable. A lot more F-bombs. But yeah, like it's not that it's a new idea. We're like, let's put Deadpool with some asshole who's cranky. But it worked. And again, I would love to say that, it's Wolverine and Deadpool. We could watch them hang out and chat with Deadpool's mouth sewn shut, but we've already seen that. They botched the concept once upon a time. So it's not like it's a winning formula. We've seen it not play out well. So are we into spoiler territory now?
Yeah, we are. Disclaimer. Yep.
Within the first 5 minutes, it's that opening scene just tells you exactly what you're in for. The part with the one second here. Let me get on my spoiler hat. The part with the claws. that was fantastic. When Deadpool had the claws, everyone just erupted in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a lot more to say for it, but yeah, anyone else chime in?
Well, for Deadpool and Wolverine, in comparison to Deadpool and Cable, Cable needed Deadpool to achieve his goal. Wolverine didn't need Deadpool. Wolverine didn't even need to be there. He got sucked into the trap, so he's reluctant to be with them because the only way he can go home is by going on this harebrained idea of trying to get Cassandra or open a portal to get back to the TVA. So I think it's Wolverine's stuck with them, doesn't want to be there, and he doesn't have a single choice about it. Cable, unfortunately, needed an idiot like Deadpool to succeed in his mission. I think they played off well with each other. I think some of that natural chemistry of Hugh and Ryan is there. I think there is that underlying element of their friendship that you can see, because why else would Wolverine put up with this shit for as long as he did? He could have just walked around the void and just did whatever, but it's his only option to get home, even when he finds out he got lied to and screwed over by Deadpool.
Yeah, and I think a lot of things only Deadpool can get away with. I don't think there's a character kind of like that can bring that energy to a big screen. I don't think DC has anyone like that. So it's kind of hard to say where they're gonna go in the future with Deadpool and Wolverine. But I feel like they're gonna be making more movies.
And the other thing with Deadpool versus anybody else in the MCU, Deadpool can lip off Wolverine. Wolverine can just go berserker mode and stab him with some knives, and I'm fine. Cyclops can't do that. Like in X-Men 1, and he says, "How do I know you're Wolverine? You're a dick." Okay, yeah, you're right. What is he gonna do to Wolverine? He can pop claws and stab Cyclops. So.
It's funny you mentioned that they both have a healing factor. At no point in this movie did I ever watch who's going to win this fight. Like this could be 5 movies and then just going back and forth. But with again, folks who are listening, huge spoilers. Okay, 3, 2, 1. With the Sabretooth and Wolverine fight, I'm just going to say this: Fox has never really put a huge emphasis on Sabretooth and Wolverine. Even in the Origins movie, I felt that was weird how they went about doing that. There was a much better film in there that they just ran through. Even in this thing, it was like over within 10 seconds. I didn't expect that. I thought it would be long, drawn out. No, it was done quick, fast, in a hurry. And so now I wonder what would happen if he actually chopped Deadpool's head off, because we saw what happens when he chops a guy's head off with a healing factor. They're dead right away. Sabretooth was not coming back.
Except for there's Headpool. So maybe if Wolverine chopped off Deadpool's head, then we get 2 Headpools. So, or does he start growing like little baby feet and little baby arms and little baby
You look like a Mr. Potato Head. Literally.
Right.
Or does the body grow a baby head? Do we then have a big head with a little tiny body and then a body with a tiny head? So.
Very, very much a conversation Kelly and I had driving back. If he chopped off his head, would he grow another body, or would the body grow another head, or is there 2? I'm thinking way too much into this.
I mean, you're talking about them fighting. I mean, like you said, they could fight for forever. I mean, they showed it in the movie where, spoiler alert, when they was fighting in the car, literally until they fell asleep. Like, until they couldn't fight no more, had nothing else in them. And then he wrapped them up in the seatbelts and went to sleep.
We're going to have to say spoiler alert every 30 seconds.
Yeah. Do you think they're
Right.
going to bring in more characters that we haven't seen in a while? Like, for sure, like if you know the Deadpool comics, I love the comics. I don't know everything about it, but I love the comics. Okay, that's always what I hold true. So in the comic, there's a Spidey situation going on. Do you think that's going to happen?
I would love that. I would die. I would
So
love
I
That all depends on
Sunday,
Sony. That all
what?
depends on Sony.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I feel like we got a little teaser of that when it was in the car. Deadpool kept going.
Yeah.
I felt like that was foreshadowing. For me, I was like, yes, make it happen. And on Sunday, I was at the Aurelia Country Con, whatever, and I was a guest there. And so was Fabian, which is the co-creator of Deadpool. And I went up to him and I was just talking to him and like just like a real person, and we were just kind of shooting the shit. And then, sorry, I'm allowed to swear, right? You can swear?
Well, you can swear. Go for it.
Okay, good. Sorry. And then I asked him, like, I started asking him like real questions, you know, and then other people came up and I went to back down, right? Because obviously I'm not going to occupy all this time. And he's like, "You're not leaving already, are you? We're done talking?" And I was like, no, I'll stick around for a few minutes. And so we continue to talk. And that was one of the things that he brought up, actually, because I was with a Spider-Man with me. And he said to him, "Are you excited about that happening someday?" And then he said it better happen because he wrote it in the comics. So
You never know. Anything is possible when Ryan's involved. I think he pulls a lot of strings. Yeah, I think he can pull a lot of strings.
I've seen Sony and Marvel work together, and I think Sony knows what a boatload of money smells like and would be real stupid not to try to pursue this in some sort of way. I think we're going to get to the point where, just like the movie we saw, it's going to look like people threw a bunch of action figures into a bin and shook it up violently and put a movie out there. That's really what that film felt like we watched. Someone shaking a bunch of toys together and movie, and
but I think also that Ryan knows that he doesn't want to just jam pack a bunch of superheroes in a movie, kind of like how the MCU has been going, trying to bring everyone in. You know, the first up to Endgame, they kind of slowly built that universe. I think Ryan knows better not to bring everyone in. Like everyone in the movie, we're expected to either be in the movie or in previous movies. So I think rushing to bring a bunch of characters in is not, without building an actual story arc, wouldn't work.
I was listening to the Deadpool roundtable on the Sirius XM Deadpool channel that they have right now, and one of the things they said there is, like Sean Levy said, no cameo was in the movie that didn't have at least a character arc or a storyline to it. They didn't just throw people in for fan service. Everybody served a purpose, and like even just like looking at the list, and then like you've got Hulk, Human Torch, Toad, Lady Deathstrike, Pyro, Sabretooth, Ant-Man's Corpse, Elektra, Blade, X-23, Happy Hogan, and Gambit, and that's not even including the Wolverine variants that we got.
Spoilers to people that are listening.
Here's the spoiler. We had spoiler enough times.
Can we rewind for a minute and go back to
spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Go over that list again.
Blade. Let's talk about Blade.
When I seen that, I lost it. Everybody in the theater lost it. That was the one character that I heard glimpses of, like, you know, Chris Evans, like rumors that he may be in it. I've heard rumors of Henry Cavill. I had no idea Blade was going to be in it. Like when Wesley Snipes came around that curve, we all lost it.
Yeah, but they did. What was it in one of the trailers or one of the posters or something like that they came out with? It was the other Blade, and so that's what spoiler alert
from the show,
again,
from the TV show.
That's what made it so funny when he said the only Blade, and I was like, But those two were fighting, right? Like those two didn't get along.
Yeah. So Ryan and I think Wesley Snipes had some issue, or I guess they must have solved it before this.
Yeah,
well,
that's good.
They did do Blade Trinity, so there could have been lingering stuff from there.
Yeah.
Well, the Blade Trinity thing, they actually, so Ryan Reynolds talks about that, and also Patton Oswalt, where at one point Ryan Reynolds is talking to Wesley Snipes and just straight up asks him, like, what is your issue with me? And he tells him. and there was a lot of animosity there. It sounded like a horrible environment to work in. So to see them come back, I completely forgot about all that history that they had. So to see him come back and actually tease a little bit there. Oh, I thought you were retired. and all their interactions going back and forth. It was great to see. And that Blade reveal again. Yeah, we I think our theater cheered just as much as they did when non Captain America Johnny Storm showed up and when he did first off when you saw that it was Chris Evans, and secondly when he did Flame On. The other a lot of big cheers, but the other one that matched that was definitely Blade walking around the corner. It's pretty intense to see.
Well, and with having Blade, that just brings back to the very first of the Marvel movies, even outside of the Fox movies. So it's perfect. It encapsulates everything that Marvel has put on screen. Maybe if they had Dolph Lundgren in as Punisher, would have been the final coup de grace.
Yeah, we talked about that would have been interesting. I don't know if a lot of people would have recognized Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher. That came out back in 1952. It was a while ago. It would like we would have recognized it. A lot of people would.
That was another hint, though, maybe because Spidey, Punisher, they talked about a few of them.
Yeah.
Well, even the joke with like how many Punishers have there been? And they say, well, at least 5. So.
Only ever been one Blade, though.
Yeah.
Only ever be one Blade.
In terms of the visuals and the cinematography, what do you guys think?
So we've seen these Marvel movies with $250 million budgets and then go back to your reshoots and just miss the mark on the CG or the visual, the practical effects. It's rushed for some reason. This is well flushed out. Like I had no issues with any of the stuff. Even that opening scene with the way some of the adamantium bones looked as he was, spoiler alert, murdering everyone with Wolverine's corpse. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look realistic. But again, it's a fake metal, so it could look any way that they want. And it kind of had that resemblance to the Wolverine Origins CGI on the metal. So I don't know if that was done on purpose as well, but it did look really Wolverine Origins-y adamantium with the effect.
Yeah, I
Again,
agree.
we're talking about character.
It was done really well. Oh, sorry, you can go ahead, please.
It's okay. You go.
I think it was done really well. The only one that I thought, and I kind of felt both sides, because I thought it did look kind of cheesy, but then I felt it played homage to the comic as well as that Deadpool video game that came out for like PS3, was that scene when they was fighting all of the Deadpools, and then they bust through the back window of the bus. And in that one scene when they showed Deadpool and Wolverine like coming through the window in slow motion, I was like, it looked kind of cheesy-ish. I said, but I played that old Deadpool game, and that game is old because it was actually before Ryan Reynolds was Deadpool. And it was a fun game to play, and there were scenes like that in the video game. So that's what it kind of reminded me of. But overall, I mean, I thought it was well done.
Anyone else?
And they said they said the majority of the sets were all practical sets, not CGI sets. During the roundtable, they said that the hardest thing was trying to keep set security and not having images leaked. Because at least if you have it all green screen behind you, you can do whatever you want. People are going to know. But when you actually make a set with a giant half Fox logo, then people are going to figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, this is also a creative team that very much looks at the fan reactions. Ryan Reynolds was talking about the original title of the movie being Deadpool and Friend. It got leaked online, and people fucking hated it. So they immediately went to Disney, saying like, we have to change this. Spend how much money to do stuff was already made and shipped out, and they did just based on that. They got their finger on the pulse of the audience. So not to the point where they're just bending over backwards to make everything work for everyone to the movie's detriment, but just little things like that they see. Oh, this hasn't worked. We should probably avoid this. And the movie actually uses some failings of previous films and makes it its strength through the humor and just riding Disney coattails by that. I think it's been nothing but up since Endgame. Like,
And you could tell that Ryan put a lot of work into this. Like up until we saw him on Tuesday, like he looked beat to me. Like
oh yeah,
they're on a world tour pretty much, and it didn't end there. They're at like San Diego Comic Con now promoting the movie. So it's been a wild ride. You could see that he was like a little bit tired at the premiere.
So I got a question for Cal. You weren't at the premiere, so there's a different type of energy. So you might have an interesting perspective on this. With the character of Deadpool in the MCU, do you think that guy will work without the R rating, without the swearing, without the graphic sexual talk and violence and all that?
Yeah, see, I don't know how it's gonna work. Like if he shows up in Secret Wars or whatever. I think like they're clearly gonna have to like, make some meta jokes about it. Deadpool's gonna have to acknowledge it somehow that he's gonna have to, hold back. Yeah, I'm curious to see how they'll handle that, but it's still going to be fun to see him alongside the other Avengers. I mean, because, we got it really bothered me that we finally saw Wolverine versus Hulk, but, it's just, literally maybe not even 5 seconds.
I heard that's coming. I heard that's coming.
Yeah. I'm just really, I'm really curious to see how he's going to interact with the other Marvel heroes. And, I thought it was interesting that, it wasn't just Deadpool who had the potty mouth, that they made Johnny Storm, Wolverine even. I mean, Wolverine, it kind of suits his character anyway, but I'm just curious, if there was Spider-Man who showed up, I feel like Spider-Man probably wouldn't, join in on that, but I don't know, it's kind of interesting to see how, if certain characters from the MCU or whatever appear in a Deadpool movie, suddenly they're more, what's the word?
Everyone's just going to start swearing.
Yeah.
But vice versa, if Deadpool's in Secret Wars or whatever, he's gonna have to hold back. So they're gonna have to write some jokes about that in there for Deadpool, about having to hold back.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm curious. I hope that doesn't ruin the character, though. I mean.
I think Ryan would have to set the tone. Ryan would have to set the tone as soon as he appears in the movie. You know what I mean? If it was to be it, he would have to set that tone right away to make everyone know. You can't say.
Well, he did it in Once Upon a Deadpool.
Right.
He was able to recut all of Deadpool 2 as a PG-13.
Oh.
Do you guys think we're about to experience an MCU that's rated R instead? Is there more the upping the rating? There would be a loss of money there for the younger audience, probably.
I think a lot of the younger audience has grown now too. As cosplayers, I think we know that the younger audience now are more into anime. I think the our generation and maybe a little bit younger are the ones watching Marvel now. So maybe they will grow. Maybe they will. Maybe not rated R, but it might get a little bit more mature.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it'll depend on the characters. I think Marvel may start to branch into like Deadpool, Punishers, and things like that, who are more rated R type characters. But they'll probably still keep, your traditional Avengers and some of the X-Men and things, Spider-Man and them PG-13. But I think if like the Marvel characters that go into a Deadpool film, oh yeah, that film is going to be rated R. But when they're doing regular movies, those are PG-13.
Who was everyone's favorite cameo? Sorry, go ahead, Tanner.
Oh, I was just saying that was a good point.
Who was everyone's favorite cameo in the movie?
Blade.
Blade was everyone's.
Another one I'll say too is the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine. That was
yeah.
When I seen that, I was like, "Oh snap!" That was cool.
My favorite part in the movie wasn't really like an MCU part. It was more the Henry Cavill part, for the simple fact that I'm a Snyder fan, and what he said to him there was perfect. That they'll treat you better over here, pretty much. You know what I mean?
Well, the one cameo that stood out the best, in my opinion, was Gambit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially when they gave us a hint of what we could have had if Gambit Origins ever happened.
Yeah.
And I still think Channing Tatum could still play that character. I mean, it's possible. I still think they could play that character.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I didn't realize it until we're talking about it now. But he didn't have the glowing Gambit eyes that you normally see in the comics and in the cartoon. I don't know if they'll ever incorporate that or show it like when he uses his powers. It seemed weird that you could actually see the pupils in his eyes and all that. It's small, but yeah. Now that I think about it, like, oh yeah. I guess you've never really seen what his eyes look like. But anyways, with regards to cameos, there's so many. I would have to say, finally seeing comic accurate sized Wolverine. Yeah. All those short kings out there finally felt represented. And it was the first Wolverine that he encounters, so it sets the tone, and then they realize, like, okay, yeah, maybe a 5'2" comic accurate Wolverine isn't exactly what we need this to look. A little off kilter. I think the obvious one would be the Johnny Storm thing, because you thought it was Captain America, then it's Chris Evans, and then it's Johnny Storm. But there's something about that Gambit cameo that I agree with Ed. Like it might have been my favorite just because of all the history behind trying to get that movie made, Channing Tatum being that character, and then to finally see him. It was like that Reed Richards, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it. It was like that Reed Richards cameo where I can never pronounce his name. Jim from The Office.
Oh yeah.
Krasinski showed up in Multiverse of Madness, but this was done better.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just like, oh, here's Reed Richards everyone wants, and he's dead, and we've actually made him a bit of a dummy. Yeah. This Gambit wasn't just a cameo. He had a bit of character going on. He was kind of integral to the plot. He helped move it forward.
Even just like little comments where people say, "Well, when we get to the void, and this is where we are," and he says, "I don't know, it kind of feels like I was born here." Like it just even just comments like that.
Who's your dialect coach?
Yeah, like you could just take it as it could have been a deep comment, but then it's also like essentially his character was born in the void because this movie was never made. So there was so much, and the suit looked amazing. Like the suit looked like, for being on screen. Okay, this is what we're doing with Gambit, and Taylor taking Taylor Kitsch out of Wolverine Origins because he never really had a suit. So having a comic or cinematic version of the Gambit suit, it looked great. Even the action sequences with them were really good. I was really impressed on what he did. And yeah, again, same thing. Would love to see, maybe not necessarily in another Deadpool movie, but whenever they bring the X-Men into the MCU, having a version of Channing Tatum or Gambit in the new X-Men.
Yeah, little bit of a difference in his powers, though, I don't know if you noticed at one point where he poked Buddy and made him explode. I've never seen Gambit normally do. I didn't think that his powers worked on organic matter. Since being a bit of a nerd here, he got his powers nerfed by Mister Sinister on purpose in the character in the comics. But in the movies, yeah, it's still been, even when he was portrayed in X-Men Origins Wolverine, it was only inorganic matter. So that was something that I saw like, huh. Yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy this. I'm not gonna overthink that. So if they do bring that character in, I don't know if that would be a good thing to carry over. It just seems like it's a pretty easy solution to a lot of problems.
They've been teasing also like the X-Men, right, joining the MCU. So to what extent are they gonna do that? And this has potential, like that they're teasing bringing Gambit into it through Channing Tatum. Like, I don't know. It could be wishful thinking as well.
Mm-hmm.
So even now that you mentioned the eye thing, it could be something they wanted the fans to notice, and maybe they want to build upon it somehow in the story, weave it into the story later, and give us a reason for his eyes like connecting to his powers.
Yeah.
I think there's a missed opportunity with the cameos, with Blake Lively being there and not being unmasked somehow and playing on her relationship with Ryan Reynolds. Like, we did not know her till we read the credits.
So she was Lady Deadpool, right?
Yeah, she was Lady Deadpool. And it was
sorry, go on.
It was just a fully missed opportunity for a lot of things, given that she's
so handsome Deadpool. I don't know why I didn't include into this while watching it at one point. It was even talking about how she just had a baby, which she has in real life, and he was just speaking very highly of Lady Deadpool, and like, oh, she's absolutely beautiful. You're just gorgeous. She just had a baby. You can't even tell. Like, oh, why was I still wondering who that could have been? Because everyone's like, oh, it's Taylor Swift. This person, like, obviously it's his wife, who he probably got to do that role for free.
Probably.
Yeah, but it didn't add to the story anyway. Like, because we didn't even get to see her. We just saw it could have been literally anyone, and wouldn't have made an impact because of the way they misutilized the situation.
There's parts of this movie, a lot of parts when, if you were to sit down and actually think about it, made zero sense. That was like the Deadpool core was one of them. They just show up out of the blue. Handsome Ryan Reynolds earlier just says, "Oh yeah, watch out for the Deadpool core. They're around here." Then they walk through the portal somehow, and then they want to kill everyone for some reason. And I can't really remember. Maybe I missed it, but it was really cinematic to see. And you know what? It didn't need to make sense. It was just enjoyable. There's a lot of this movie where some stuff just didn't make sense. You had characters that weren't fully developed, like Paradox, played by I can't remember his name right now, but like that he just seemed, he was there. He didn't have much care. He was just kind of a slimy, weaselly dude that worked for the TVA that was there to get the plot going, and that's okay. That's all you need. Cassandra Nova, she showed up. Her powers were undefined, and then you can, spoiler alert for people, you could really say, oh, why doesn't she just rip the skin off of anyone? Like, that seems like a real quick skin rip, another skin rip. Oh no, it's Wolverine and Deadpool. No, it's not skin rip. So that's 100% solution.
It's a Wolverine rug.
It's not to.
Pardon?
I said it's a Wolverine rug.
Like
rock, paper, scissors to go.
Sandra could easily kill anybody any way she wanted, but she doesn't want to. She's like a cat playing with a mouse. I'll play with you until I want to kill you.
Yeah.
And she could kill you 100 ways to Sunday.
If you could have added any cameos to this movie, who would it have been? Or what character would it have been?
I think we actually Loki?
I thought I was going to see that guy.
I needed explanation, was this previous to second season of Loki or after? And there was a point where I had to like think about both.
I was definitely Loki, like a variant of Loki's at least in the movie, which I was surprised that there wasn't.
I think it would have been pretty funny when he makes that Goliath from season 2, episode 5, Loki, and then it just flashes of Loki being just Tom Hiddleston shrugging and looking weird, and then goes back, or he does just a quick little flash like that would have been funny. It was like, yeah, that's the guy. Stuff like that happened. Not to jump away from the cameo thing, but again, there was just things that didn't make sense. Like a lot. If someone didn't see Loki, it'd be Goliath from Loki season 2, episode 5. They threw things in there, and it works. It just works for whatever reason. But for cameos, I honestly can't. Maybe Patrick Stewart would have been nice to see. Again.
Another low-key cameo that I did that I was like thirsting for and finally got was Wolverine's mask. Me and a buddy of mine was talking before the movie came out, and I was like, I so hope they have some sort of cinematic version of his mask in this movie. When he finally pulled that mask on at that final fight, yeah, that was another we just all lost the scene in the movie theater.
You mean this mask?
Yes.
That the one?
Some jerks out there wrote all over it.
That's awesome. Yeah, when he pulled that mask,
that's awesome.
Like, yes, thank you.
I only wear it for killing.
The cameo of the mask was awesome, but they explained why he wears the suit this time, and they explained why he waited so long to put on the mask, and like I bought it. Like, okay, yeah, he wears this suit all the time to spoilers as a tribute to his friends because he was too cool for school and couldn't be vulnerable around them, couldn't really be part of a team, didn't want them to know how much he actually cared about them, wanted to be part of that team. I honestly thought the movie was going to have Deadpool drag him back to the TVA and get that very handsy Taylor to dress him up, and then he'd have him walk out and be like, "This is stupid," and then rip the sleeves off or something. But no, they actually made the suit an emotional arc of Wolverine's character, which was really smart. The helmet was part of his character, and it wasn't just like, okay, now I'm going to put this on because people want to see it, and then we're sitting there like, why doesn't he just wear this all the time? It just made sense the way that they did it. So I thought that was smart. It was very smart writing.
Here's the cameo I would have liked. Now this kind of changes the whole Void, but instead of Cassandra Knox being the villain of the story, Dr. Doom.
There was one point I thought I saw him and I got excited and I was like, no.
Yeah.
Because the guys with the mask did kind of look like Doom bots. If you end up getting Julian McMahon to come back as Dr. Doom and that be your main villain, that would be a cool crossover to the future with Fantastic Four to kind of reintroduce and kind of get people used to Dr. Doom. That's probably the cameo that I would have liked to have seen. That's
actually a good point because he's also a sorcerer on top of being a really proficient scientist. So it would have made more sense for him to be able to send them back to the main timeline, the main universe.
He's also in the Void, so he could end up sourcing whatever technology, magical items, or weapons in the Void.
Yeah, I did find it weird that when the attack on Castle Ant-Man happened near the end, that Cassandra Nova just sat there sipping tea until they went in, and that she didn't just walk out. It was like, oh, skin rip. Again, it's the easy solution to all your problems.
Yeah.
But where's the fun in that?
Yeah. So, no, yeah, man, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. Yeah, Doctor Doom would have makes a lot more sense than Cassandra Nova.
Mhm.
But then you wouldn't have had the tie-in to Charles Xavier, and
Yeah.
I think it would have been interesting for them to bring back Patrick Stewart for one last hurrah, and then this Charles Xavier could, I don't know, have a discussion with Wolverine, with Cassandra Nova. There could have been more emotional character beats to really flesh out this version of Wolverine's arc, and even add more to his whole why he would now suddenly sacrifice himself for the good of everyone. So, man, we're really dissecting this thing. Can't overthink it.
I was hoping to see Ben Affleck in his Daredevil costume.
Mhm.
Right?
Oh, that'd have been cool.
Would Jennifer Garner have done it though? Would she have shown up as Elektra? So I guess that's the real question. Would you rather want Jennifer Garner as Elektra in it or Ben Affleck Daredevil?
Yeah, because people kind of went crazy when they saw her at first.
Yeah. Let's be careful. We don't want to be canceled by the internet.
Mhm.
It's after the 26th. Friday's the 26th. We're okay.
Yeah, what about you? Would you rather have seen Ben Affleck Daredevil or Elektra?
Oh yeah, definitely Daredevil. I think it would have been kind of cool to have Ben Affleck and Cavill in the same movie, because they were both kind of done dirty by DC. Yeah. I mean, I've always been a fan of Daredevil. Definitely prefer Charlie Cox's version, but yeah, it still would have been cool to see him. Elektra wasn't bad though. Like, I don't think I've seen the movies, but thought she was kind of badass in it. So
Having Iron Fist show up and then immediately getting killed would have been hilarious.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that show is unwatchable, but I've never finished it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
People too whiny.
I'm just saying, Danny Rand has zero ground game. You just shoot the leg, ground and pound until he makes no sound because he's dead. That's all.
If there's one thing about the movie that you could have fixed or could have changed, what would it have been?
Add more Deadpools for that fight. Obviously, we needed way more Deadpools.
Because I'm with Ali on this one. I think it's Ali that said it. I think there could have been more character development for Cassandra. It felt a little bit rushed to me. I felt like there wasn't enough of an I wouldn't say an emotional, but it didn't feel as much of a threat to me.
Well, none of the antagonists were characters in it. They were there because the plot needed someone to be an antagonist. And like Ed said, bringing in Doctor Doom would have flushed that out. We've seen him already. We haven't seen Cassandra Nova, but people have seen various versions of Doom. You kind of get the general gist of him. And the character itself, yeah, he certainly can be three-dimensional, but on the surface, he is very much a 2D pompous character who has a grab-ass bag of powers, and would have been interesting to see him and Johnny Storm play off of each other. And it would be a good way to further introduce that concept of the Fantastic Four. So yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Like Doctor Doom would have been probably a better choice than Cassandra Nova, a fairly unknown character.
People probably would have lost their minds if they saw that.
Oh yeah.
And if they had what's it, Cillian Murphy? Do it.
It depends. It depends where you are in the world. Cillian.
Yeah, have him do it. Oh man, that would have been insane.
Yeah. And then have it be a Doom bot at the end would have been even cooler. So somewhere out there in the multiverse, Doctor Doom is still kicking because this was a robot.
It's coming. Anyone else?
The The only thing I would change or didn't make sense is at the very beginning when Deadpool is going into the interview at Stark Tower with Happy Hogan. It's 2018, and it says it's Earth 616.
Right?
And then you start thinking, okay, so Deadpool's in the same universe as the MCU, so that means the X-Men are in that same universe, and the X-Men have never, ever, ever been mentioned before.
I refuse to acknowledge 616 as the MCU universe. That is the comic book universe.
Yeah.
It is 1999999 or whatever Kevin Feige said it. It's very weird to see the comics referred to as 616 and then the MCU as 616. I thought they were going to address, but then they went with Earth, whatever it was, 10 something, the Fox.
1005.
Yeah. Quick thing about what could have been added. Colossus was painfully absent from a lot of the movie. He showed up for a few of the nice quieter scenes, but when they're back in the reality that he exists, it would have been kind of cool to see him show up, fastball special Wolverine through a bunch of Deadpools.
Oh yeah.
And it would have made, instead of having Peter show up and be a funny gag, like every Deadpool has a Peter, we love Peter, like, okay, that's the thing, that happened. Again, that seemed rushed. To have Colossus and a few of the other characters, maybe even have some X-Men that are still under contract show up, and then take on those Deadpools to distract them while Wolverine and Deadpool Prime go and deal with stuff. That would have been an interesting character, an interesting plot moment, rather than Peter showing up, shoved into a Deadpool costume looking like a sausage. Funny, but made zero sense. But it doesn't have to.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, it would have been cool to see, like you said, Tanner. It would have been cool to see a few of the other X-Men. I kind of thought we would have probably got either like the OG Cyclops from Fox or Halle Berry or Storm, but not getting any of them, and especially knowing that spoiler alert, this was kind of like Fox's send off, as you kind of seen throughout the credits. The first credits, I would have thought we would have got just a few more of those Fox characters, like I said, maybe one or two of the X-Men. But
yeah, it's kind of weird thinking about it now that they didn't show up at all. Not even I guess Megatron Teenage Warhead was there, right?
Yeah.
During the party, but again, why they didn't show up for that last fight is kind of a missed opportunity, and we didn't really need them in a 10-minute fight sequence. You could have had the Wolverine and Deadpool versus a bunch of Deadpools, and then once they regenerate, scrap that funny Peter idea, hilarious, but then bring in all the people that have been missing to just show them squaring off, just like we had Blade, X-23, Gambit, and Elektra do in the Void. You could have just redone that, but without having to go through all the fighting, just show them getting ready and be like, oh, that's pretty dope. And you could have had the Blackbird fly in, they hop down, and get ready to throw hands with like 100 Deadpools.
And that's about it. Yeah, literally like a 2-minute cameo would have worked.
Yeah.
For a budget of what, 200 million, I think they could have done that. I don't know too many of those actors that would have said like, nah, I'm done with this role. Screw Disney, Fox. Come in for one last hurrah. And because they exist in that universe. You saw Colossus. The rest of the X-Men are there. So why they didn't show up for what is a world, a universe-ending event is kind of beyond me. Again, we could totally dissect this film. It'd be like so many problems, but it's. I don't think it's designed to be a tight, packaged, self-contained story. They just made something that was fun and kind of a love letter for fans.
Yeah.
Overall, it was a pretty fun movie.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And whether it saves the MCU or not, I personally don't think it's going to save the MCU or bring it back to where it once was. The Deadpool on its own, it has its own fan base or its own cult following. And they could never do what Deadpool does, like in his movies. So I don't think it's gonna save the overall MCU, but it'll bring eyes back to that universe.
Yeah.
I don't think it was this movie's responsibility to save the MCU. There's
Well,
a lot of issues.
He said he's the Marvel Jesus, right?
Marvel, as a
Here to
as a
resurrect
joke,
the MCU.
right? I think the only thing that at this point is going to fix the MCU is Secret Wars and a giant mashup reset, taking what works. And you know what? I want to change my cameo pick. They should have gone an Alpha Flight. Just saying, we need an Alpha Flight team to show up, and this would have been the perfect chance. We're never going to get Alpha Flight.
This movie was also like a love letter to Canada.
Yeah,
So many Canadian references. Yeah, it was perfect.
all of his Deadpool movies have reference to Canada and everything.
And I think Sean is Canadian as well too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's from Montreal.
So yeah.
Montreal.
So yeah, there were a lot of references there. Anyone else? Any other spoilers that we missed?
One thing I will say though that I did like about this movie that was it was almost kind of like Deadpool finally got what he asked for. As you think about like in the first two films, he always cracked jokes on Marvel being low budget and can't get him no more X-Men. But in like they got him Blade, they got him Gambit. Like he finally got some of those A-list characters that he's always wanted, but never really got nothing but a glimpse of them in the movie. And then it was just him, Colossus.
They saved money with Blake, so
yeah,
that's true.
That $200 million. Where do you think the majority of that went?
Ooh.
Like effects or hiring people? Make it. I like that Hulk vs. Wolverine scene. I also want how much was it just to make that thing? Was it $1 million for a 10-second clip that I want to see an entire goddamn movie of?
With him with the mask on?
Well, when he was when Deadpool shows up and the Hulk was there and it was classic brown suit Wolverine getting ready to square off with him. Just things like that. I look at it like how much did that cost to throw together?
And then they showed a glimpse. Wasn't it the reflection of Hulk through Wolverine's claws?
No, Hulk was actually there.
That's right. That's right. He showed up behind Deadpool. That's right.
Yeah, and then slammed him there, and then our I think our theater cheered at all the cameos except for comic accurate Wolverine. That just got a lot of hurtful laughs, and when the Hulk showed up and then Wolverine showed up in his brown suit, people cheered for that. Yeah. I think if the creative team behind this, including Ryan Reynolds, took anything away, it's that people want to see a Hulk versus Wolverine fight, movie, team up. I don't know how they do it, but that's a pretty significant thing. Like it was the guy's first appearance in comic books, was fighting the Hulk.
It would have been perfect if they turned the camera around. It was Edward Norton instead.
Oh. Yeah.
I don't know. I would have pumped for Eric Bana.
Lou Ferrigno, just slightly more jacked. let's just keep going farther and farther back. Yeah, man. It was I can't even call a lot of the cameos because you had cameos that were just, it wasn't like Stan Lee showing up going like Excelsior and playing a pizza man or something. These were people that came up, had they impacted the plot in some cases, like Johnny Storm really impacted the plot. drove drove a little bit of the character development, and I'm hard pressed to think of anyone besides the Hulk that I would be like, okay, that was a cameo. The Henry Cavill thing was definitely a cameo. I after seeing that now, here's a question for you guys: if they have to recast Wolverine, who would you want to see?
You? Just kidding.
You?
No, I'm good. But actually, no. If they came knocking, sure, I'll do it. Marvel. I'll bring my own helmet.
I think Henry is supposed to be playing Hyperion or something, right? That's what I heard.
That'd be hilarious. Personally, I don't know. Daniel, I want to see a Canadian do it, but Daniel Radcliffe would be my biggest choice. Short little dude. He get pretty jacked. Just throw him on some protein and some gear. Bulk him out.
Yeah.
Young enough to do it for the next 100 years.
I think Carl Urban could. I think he'd make a great Wolverine.
Who?
Carl Urban.
Oh,
Yeah.
from the boys.
Yeah, Butcher from The Boys. Yeah. I feel like he could do it. I know he was already in the MCU, but they've done it before, even with Johnny Storm. But didn't they have someone who's in Eternals and Guardians? Forget her name. Gemma Chan or something. I don't know, but Carl Urban, wasn't he Scourge in Thor Ragnarok? Yeah, but I mean, I don't think anyone would complain because he died anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like he could pull it off.
At this point, I don't think anyone can play Wolverine as well as you did, because even for him getting that role was kind of a hurdle for him to get the role. Because I think they wanted Russell Crowe to do it.
No, they had Dougray Scott. He was already signed on and started filming, and then got released from the project, and then Hugh Jackman came in. So he wasn't even the first choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had what 24 years in that role. So and again, when he first started, everyone's like, he's too tall, he's too handsome, he's too Australian, he's too awesome. But after 24 years, it's like he's now pretty synonymous with the role. I think it could be played. Carl Urban's a great choice. I didn't even think about that. But as they joke about in Deadpool 2, they're going to need someone a little bit younger that could carry a franchise for the next 10 to 12 years.
90 years.
Until he's 90.
He's 90.
He's 90.
I want to see comic accurate height Wolverine. Daniel Radcliffe's 5'4".
We got some of that in the actual movie though, with him on all fours and stuff like that. It seemed a little more accurate.
Yeah, so that's another thing. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this version of Wolverine even fought differently.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so dope. It wasn't just like, it's the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine. He's more savage. Because this Wolverine was doing different things that we've never seen before. The claws in the ground and running on all fours, just lower to the ground. Type fighting all around, and it wasn't just a one-off.
Jump in the back of the bus, come on! When he did that,
that shot was cool.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. This Wolverine just seemed more brutal, more of a brawler, even than the main X-Men Wolverine. Yeah. So I noticed that during the film, which is kind of crazy when you think Hugh's been playing this guy for 24 years and found a way to do it a little bit differently than what we've seen.
Which is what you want, right? So,
yeah, definitely a love letter to the fans. Definitely.
I would have liked to have seen X-23 in the costume.
Yeah, it was kind of a letdown not seeing that. Yeah. I was definitely expecting that.
it's almost like I can't remember first name, but Keen. What's her full name? The actress.
Daphne.
Daphne Keane. Yes. It's almost like she showed up for a couple of days to do the shoot, and they just maybe didn't have time to make a costume or figure out a way that she could wear one, and they didn't really need a reason. She could have walked around the corner wearing a knockoff beat of what he's wearing.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have questioned it. It would be like, why is Blade wearing a tradition? Has he never got changed since in 30 years? Like it's, yeah, man. There's that was one of the things where I'm like, yeah, that would have been nice to see.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing seeing her in the yellow. Holy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe maybe having kind of like a standalone or more of a standout part fighting Cassandra or the Deadpools. I thought it was kind of weird that they didn't show up during that massive Deadpool fight. You know, we talked about the X-Men coming out of the blue, but you could have also had these guys jump out of a portal because Cassandra Nova did it.
Right.
And
just show up. Say, we got this, and then that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I guess then do you run the risk of copying that thing off of Endgame where they all just come out of portals and that's kind of the thing.
It would have been cool if like just the clouds got dark and then Storm showed up and everyone just popped in. And we got this, and then they just run off and do their thing. It didn't have to be a long cameo.
No, it didn't have to. So again, once we stop and think about it, there's some stuff that we can say, they could have done this or they could have done this. But again, as it stands, that movie is super enjoyable.
Yeah.
We're just trying to take this like this ice cream cake and just make it even more glorious now for our benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I like
five Johnny Storms. Why did they have 5 Johnny Storms and 27 Doctor Dooms?
I saw it again yesterday, and I bought the digital copy from the movie. Right when I was just like, here we go, another $70-something on top of it. I got the popcorn helmet. I got the little baby Deadpool on top of the cup. I was like, we're just gonna do everything. My daughter goes,
oh, nice.
I was like, yeah, that's fine. $100 today. It's fine.
I'm gonna see it tomorrow with friends, and I am gonna get dressed up in costume.
There you go.
Again. Oh yeah.
Will, were you
really freak out the normies.
Will, were you saying something? Sorry.
Forgot I was about to say.
My internet went all weird or something. The connection.
All right, so we'll end this off with an official rating of the movie. We'll just collect everyone and we'll land on a number that suits everyone. So we'll start off with Ed and go around.
8.5.
8.5. Will?
I'll say a 9.5.
9.5. I'll give it a 9.
And I just remembered what I was going to say too, and I just forgot.
Okay, go for it.
Forgot again. Sorry. Came back to me, then it disappeared again.
Ali?
I would say 8.
Ooh, okay, 8. Cal?
Probably an 8.5. Yeah.
Tanner?
I was gonna say 8.5, but I'll give it a 9 because if a movie can make me laugh that much and then tear up just a little at the end, then sure, yeah, take my money. Yeah, I'll give you a 9. That speech at the end that Wolverine gave about having the opportunity to be the X-Men, I'm like, God damn it, stay in there.
So right now we're sitting between an 8.5 and a 9. So it's on you now, Felicia.
I'm going to rate this high because, Hugh Jackman with no shirt on was one thing, but, a 9.7 for sure for me because honestly, when I go to a movie, my expectations are to get me to have all the different feels, and that's definitely what it did for me. So I was happy with it, 9.7.
Perfect.
My expectations were Hugh Jackman's abs. That's 5 points out of 10 right there.
yes. That's all I said was yes. I looked at
So-
T and I was like, yes.
So the overall consensus is what, a 9?
No, it's 8.89. That's what it ended up
Okay,
being.
perfect.
And the human calculators. That's why his eyes are rolling in the back of his head. He's just processing numbers.
No, I did the math here. When Felicia said 9.7, that just bumped it up a couple more
Perfect.
decimal points.
All right, guys. I think that's the end. I don't think we have anything else to say about the movie. Overall, it's a fun Well, it's not a family fun movie. It's a fun movie. Definitely not for the youngins. But yeah, it's an overall. It's something that we haven't had from the MCU in a long time in superhero movies in general.
Yeah.
I think it was the wait was well worth it.
Yeah.
And if anyone's planning to go see it now before the spoilers come out. And we're one of those to give you spoilers. So
Yeah, and again, can't say it's enough. Thanks very much for sending stuff up to get us to that premiere and making this happen. That was a bit of a dream.
very well.
So,
Oh, I was super sleepy that day that I was like totally out of it. I had like 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep that night.
I owe you a giant Assassin's Creed sign, which is coming.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right, everyone. Anyone want to plug yourselves on your socials and all that stuff before we go? Will?
Yeah, I get me on Instagram, will.m.fit.
Okay. We have Ed. Ed is always here. You don't have to worry about him. His socials
just look for that.
Ali?
And I'm on Instagram at the alleyway, just like the.alley.way.
Perfect. And we have my neighbor Cal.
Yeah. So what are we doing? Just giving our
your social.
pretty much just on Instagram at Cal_the_void. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm on right now.
Perfect. Looking forward to cosplaying with you more, Cal.
Yeah, for sure.
And we got our own Logan.
Right. Basically the same person. So people can find me on mostly on Instagram, Battle Damage Props, battle_damage_props. There's a lot of costumes on there. Sometimes I post some of the woodworking and things that I do. You can also find me on Threads, screaming into the void to the 5 people that actually listen over on Threads. And Facebook as well, but Instagram is always going to be the #1 spot to go to. And maybe in a couple of years, probably the OnlyFans. Who knows?
Felicia?
Only Wolverines. That's you. Only Wolverines.
Only Claws.
I'm mostly on Instagram, black_cat_sigma. I can also be found on TikTok as well as some other different platforms. You just need to check out the link that's in my profile on Instagram and you'll find me.
And before we go, you have a special event coming up in November.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a very special event. Actually, Battle Damage here is going to be helping me out as well with it. So it's called HeartCon, and it's going to be like a cosplay positive community type of message that we're trying to send out, as well as there's going to be a raffle, and the proceeds from the raffle is going to go to my son's memorial fund at Toronto Sick Kids Hospital for congenital heart defects research. And we're hoping to be able to have an extra money and buy a couple of chairs. And yeah, Battle Damage is going to make a nice little plaque and put it on. And we'll see if we can go there as superheroes and do something for the kids too.
Beautiful.
So that's
I'll be
November
there for
2nd.
sure.
Yeah. Thank you so
Hope to
much.
see everyone else there as well. So
Yeah.
hope everyone has a good night.
Let us know.
And I
how
want
we
to
can.
thank you all. Yeah, for sure. Let us know. We'll be there.
Okay, it's called HeartCon. Just look on my social. You'll find it.
Awesome.
Let's fucking go.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for coming. Have a great
All
weekend.
right, see ya.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Take care, Cal.
If you're watching this episode on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Comment below on what topics you would like to see us cover on future podcast episodes. Also, All episodes are available in audio format on all major podcast platforms. Thank you